So I've got my harvest baskets here. I don't think that they're all going to fit in here because I think I have like 8 or 9 of these kohlrabi that have got to come out. I picked one last week and I roasted it up in the oven. It was delicious. It tasted like cauliflower, and eating it fresh kind of tasted a little bit like a mild radish. It kind of had a little bit of the heat from a radish. I think that if you pick them earlier, they don't have that heat. And so I would like to try to pick one of these smaller ones and try it fresh and see if there's a difference, because I'm curious. Because I've heard that they're a little bit sweeter if you can get them smaller, and then as they get a little bit bigger raw, they do taste a little bit more like a radish. And then when you cook them up, though, it roasted up and tasted just like roasted cauliflower. It was delicious. So either way, these little kohlrabi are going to be eaten this year, and I think what I'm going to do this year is preserve them in the freezer. So I'm going to do it an easy way. I'm just going to pick them and then I'm going to skin them with like a vegetable peeler, and then I'm going to chop them up into little cubes and put them in my freezer bags, and then that way I can just throw them into soups, or if I decide I want to roast them or whatever I want to do with them, I can choose to do that. So I am going to get my kohlrabi picked, and then we're going to go inside and get it preserved. So here we go. We have our baskets full of kohlrabi. All right, so I have my kohlrabi that I picked from the garden, and we are going to get it ready for preserving. So my plan is to take all of the leaves off the kohlrabi, and I'm going to throw them in the sink and wash them, and then my plan is to put them in my dehydrator. So I have a bunch of leaves in the dehydrator from last week, and what I'm going to do is take those out, put them in a blender, and then grind them down and make green powder out of them. And then you can throw green powder like if you're cooking vegetables and you want to just add in a little extra greens, you can throw it into all kinds of stuff when you're cooking, and it's just a way to get some more nutrition without eating the whole vegetable, I guess. So I am going to get started with getting these leaves taken off of them, and so I'm going to get my sink ready for putting the leaves in. So this is what the kohlrabi looks like without the leaves on it. So technically with the leaves, you could cook them up like you would any kind of greens. Fry them in the skillet with a little bacon grease or whatever and eat them that way, just like you would broccoli leaves or collard greens or anything like that. But I'm just going to dehydrate mine, like I said, and turn them into greens powder this year. All right, so I have my kohlrabi all stemmed and washed up, and now what I'm going to do is basically cut the stem off of the bottom, and then we are going to peel it, and then once they get peeled, then I'm going to dice them all up and then get them ready for the freezer bags. So we're just gonna get this process going, and I'll probably speed the video up to this part. Right, so I think I'm going to put them into the quart-size baggies. And we are just gonna fill these up because that will be a nice serving size of them. So I'm just gonna fill these baggies up and we're gonna see how many we got. Okay, so I have my kohlrabi all ready to go in my bags for sealing. So I'm gonna try and see if they're gonna seal for me. I think what I'm gonna do is get a little paper towel, wipe off the insides as they're a little bit wet. They might seal up okay. The corn, whenever I did it, it was super moist, of course, and because I had taken it off the cob. And so whenever I went to go seal it, it was just sucking out all the moisture from the corn. And I had to end up freezing it first to get them to seal. So I'm gonna try it though, because I would love to be able to get this project done today. So I am just doing this just as like a little extra protection on the moisture, just because I know how this does sometimes. I just want to make sure that I can get a good seal right off. So I'm happy that I got 6 bags out of the basically almost 1 kohlrabi per bag, because the one was really small. So I had 7 kohlrabi and plus I ate one last time. So I'd had a total of 8 kohlrabi that I grew, but so almost 1 per bag. And so that makes me happy. So like I said, I can either roast these up in the oven, I can throw them into soups or whatever, cook them up however I end up choosing to. So, all right, so I got my little food saver here, and I feel like there's a little bit of moisture. I'm just a little extra paranoid due to last year's issues. So I'm just laying it in here, putting the edge down in, and then I put it over to operate. And then my power button comes on, and then I hit vacuum and seal, and it's gonna be super loud. So I'll try to turn the volume down for this part. Okay, so that will basically make the noise. It sucks the stuff out, and then you just watch for the lights to go off here, and then you hit open, and then we check it. I always check mine to make sure that they are actually good and sealed, which we are. We are sealed. So I was a little bit worried, but yay. And I should have written on here, I just remembered. It would have been easier to do this before I did this, but I'm just going to write Kohlrabi on there so that I know what this is. I probably will know because it looks definitely, maybe I will wait till they seal and then I'll just write it on the top. They do have a spot to write along the bottom. If I would have actually written that on there, and I probably will put the date 2026 too, so that I know. So I'm just going to go through here, do the rest of that. Like I said, I should have written on the bags before I filled them. If I would have been thinking, I would have done that, but I'll just write on the top afterwards. No biggie. So my final little step on this is not going to make very much greens powder with this first batch, but I am going to break this down and then we will add the other leaves to my dehydrator, and we'll just start the process. But I'm hoping to be able to do this with my broccoli leaves this year as well. And I am just doing the stems and all. You could take the stems off, but since I am grinding it into powder, I am not worried about it. Okay, here we go. So this is the greens powder that I have previously where I've done that. So I'm just going to take this and add it on top. And just keep doing this throughout the season, and then I will have my own greens powder. And I have a little moisture absorber in there. Okay, so there we go. Added a little bit more into the top. And I'll just shake it up together. And I'm gonna reseal this real quick. And then I am going to get the next bunch of greens ready for the dehydrator. So I wasn't able to fit all of my kohlrabi leaves in there. I had to pull out every other tray, so my dehydrator could have enough space in between for the big tall leaves, but that's okay. We'll just fill it up and get a dehydrator round full, and I will throw these others away since I don't have any chickens or anything to feed them to. So that'd be a great way to use them up if you didn't want to cook them up and make greens out of them. You could also save them for your chickens. So. But yeah, so that is the kohlrabi processing video.